Hello, and welcome to Stop, Let's Team Up, My Legion Adventure, episode 78, the George Tuska era. Okay, so we're doing, I finished the action run, and you know how I felt about that. We're going to do the first four backups of the Legion of Superheroes in Superboy comics. The backup feature moved from action to a reoccurring slot in the back of Superboy. So we're covering issues 172, 173, 176, and 183. And then there are only a few more after that as backups. But I'm doing these four together for two reasons. One, they're short, just like the action ones. And they all have George Tuska as the artist. And then Cockrum starts. I kind of wanted to speed up and get to Cockrum, was part of it. These stories are really light, and there's not a lot, they're not reinventing the wheel. There's not a whole lot to talk about except my basic impressions. So I don't want to blather. Let's get it all out of the way. And two, I think George Tuska gets a bad rap. So when we get to the point at the end, after I've talked about all four of the comics, I'm going to tell you why I think George Tuska is an overrated comic artist, and his Legion is pretty good. His Legion art is pretty good. Pretty dang good. But let's start with the first comic. We're going to go to Mike's Amazing World. This is a great site, folks. And I just discovered it recently since I've been doing this podcast, and Mike died a few months ago. And if this is a great legacy for a comic nerd. I mean, bravo to him and all the people who work on it. It's absolutely amazing. It's a great trove of information. I use this, Fandom Wiki, and Grand Comic Book Database. But for things like in backup of comics, I really have found it's easier to navigate and find what I want in Mike. So if you're not using it, use it. It's just a great, great site. But let's start with this. This is a Legion story that appeared in Superboy 172. It was published on January 7th, 1971. It was cover dated March 1977. It was edited, by Murray Boltinoff. Who knew? The story is called Brotherly Hate. It's a 7-pager. It features Legion of Superheroes of Earth 1. Writers E. Nelson Bridwell, artist George Tuska. It has been reprinted in DC Comics Specials number 19 in 1979. Best of DC number 33 in 1983. I think that's where I read it. Legion of Superhero Archives Volume 10. I definitely read it in that because that's what I have. And Showcase presents Legion of Superheroes number 4, Volume 4. Trade paperback 2010. This features the Legion of Superheroes, and the roll call is Lightning Lass. Okay, she's credited here, and Timberwolf, and the villain is Lightning Lord. There isn't really a synopsis in this for Mike's Amazing World, but I can kind of sum it up very quickly. It's the origin of Lightning Lord. So it starts with, I'm thumbing pages. They're talking about him. The three Legionnaires, and it is Light Lass. She is Light Lass in this, not Lightning Lass. That is, I don't know why that's that, except in the flashback. Lightning. Someone KO'd we're going back to the interplanetary back that we saw in the Shooter Swan era, and it's got the same monsters guarding it. The creatures have been knocked unconscious that guard it, and you find out the person who did is Lightning Lord. Then we get a nice, beautiful flashback of the origin. This is only the second time we've seen it with R.J. Brand in it, I think. We see it's all the same thing we've seen, the team getting the name. And then we have the three Legionnaires go looking for Lightning Lord, and they find him on this planet, and then there's a fight. He makes short use. Timberwolf gets in the way, protecting his girlfriend Light Lass, and it takes Lightning Lad zapping his own brother, and oh my goodness, that short circuits him, and his hair turns white. And then there's a quote at the end. Thomas Fuller in the 18th century wrote, "He that has no fools, knaves, nor beggars in his family was begot by a flash of lightning." A flash of lightning. and then this is the Superboy quoting this. It says, "And my Legion friend sure learned it true." So it's just basically it's a way to retell the story. It's a way to have them fight. I guess there was a reason to change his hair color, except it was because you wouldn't do it unless you were going to do something with it later, I guess. And Bridwell was doing some in the comics. So we're going to move on to Superboy 173, and this comic was published on February 16th, 1971, cover dated April 1971, Maury Boltinoff editor, writer Cary Bates, artist George Tuska, and that's pencils and inks, it looks like, and Legion of Superheroes, and it's only two people, Cosmic Boy and Superboy. This was reprinted in Legion of Superheroes Archives number 10, and Showcase Presents Showcase Presents Legion of Superheroes Volume 4, that came out 2010. Roll call: Superboy, Cosmic Boy, and the villain is Mordru. So this one is called Trust Me or Kill Me, and it's a 7-pager. And Cosmic Boy is walking through the headquarters. He passes a mirror, and then his reflection comes out, and it starts a battle. Neither can tell who is real and who is not real, so they signal Superboy because they know each other so well. Because Superboy's only a reservist then. Superboy flies off, and it's Mordru. And Superboy remembers meeting Cosmic Boy, and they talk about he tells stories about his little brother. Cosmic Boy tells him stories about his little brother that Superboy knows. And Superboy goes, "I got it. I'm going to throw these rocks and use your super magnetism to stop them." And he smashes one, and one works. And so one Cosmic Boy stops it. The other Cosmic Boy doesn't. And Superboy saves him. And that Cosmic Boy, "Superboy, I didn't think you'd save me. Why should I? If you're the real McCoy." Abruptly, the duplicate vanishes. A forbidding vision appears in its place. And that is Mordru. I underestimated you, Superboy. Your cleverness thwarted my plan and saved the Legion. But your teammates only gained a reprieve. Someday I'll return to annihilate them all in person. Farewell. And because Superboy had sent thrown something non-magnetic at Superboy, and he saved him. Again, really, this one I liked. I like this one a little bit better. It's, Mordru should be a bigger threat. Even from his first and second appearance, he should be a much bigger threat. But they're just kind of using a villain. But it's good. It's really beautiful art. I really do like it. Him inking himself is nice. But it's just kind of a simple, sweet story. Little, good, all ages comic book. They don't write comics like this, but I don't think little kids read comics the way they used to. I don't know what delivery method they get. I had a brother who handed it to me, so he wanted to share with his little brother his love of comics and science fiction, but he also wanted me to leave him the fuck alone. So I don't know, but these are kind of nice. So the next time we're going to jump to Superboy 176. This was published on May 20th, 1971, cover dated July 1971, Maury Boltinoff editor. Writer E. Nesson Ridbell, artist George Tuska is credited as inked. No, it's still George on George. Oh, that sounds bad. This was reprinted in Best of DC Comics 24 in 1982, Legion Archives number 10. Showcase Presents Legion Superheroes Volume 4. This is Legion of Superheroes. The roll call is Cosmic Boy, Invisible Kid, Ultra Boy, Mon-El, and Chemical King. Flashback is Invisible Kid appears in this. This one's called the Invisible Invader. Basically, Chemical King's at a function where they're starting the very first commercial time cube voyage, and there's a big bag of money for people who are going to pay for their tickets, and this guy who disappears stops Chemical King from stealing the money. Well, he doesn't. I mean, he gets away. The invisible guy gets away and then steals the time cube. Then we cut back to the Legionnaires hanging out, talking about it, and we see Invisible Kid talk about his origin, because how could he turn himself invisible? And Invisible Kid tells his origin. He was a scientist. He made himself apparent. First, he couldn't do it. He could only make, he can now use his powers even more. He can make his clothes disappear. He can make half of himself be invisible. And there's special ways that he can be found. So they tried that. So they're thinking about that. So they go off to there's the Atlantic Grand Prix that starts in the South Pole, and the invisible person appears. He steals a car, but can't get past Monel because Invisible Kid knocks him out, and then he slams into Monel, and Chemical King I missed part. He can't turn invisible. He doesn't know why. It's because Chemical King has used his ability to change the formula that this guy used, which is the same as Invisible Kid's, and make it not work anymore. And it ends up another great Chemical King story. I want to talk about the best part of this, reading the action in these, is Chemical King's in him. Because, I don't really... He was just this guy who appeared in this story that I didn't read until he had been dead 20 years, because that's when I got a copy of the issues when he joined, and I never read them, and I maybe read 2 or 3 of these, but it's just nice that he got a lot of play. He was the newest member, and they used him. I just thought he was someone they made a member, and they didn't know what to do with, so they used him as sacrificial lamb, and he had appeared in that Adult Legion story way in the past. But it was nice to see him. So now we're up to the last one, and this is in Superboy 183. This is cover dated January 25th, 1972. So in a year, they only appeared 4 times. God, man, that's horrible. And that's like, well, we're in a Legion-free zone these days, folks. And I think that is really, I cannot think of a way they bring them back unless they just pick up where something left off, whether at the Magic Wars, I think would be a good place to start. I mean, if you're gonna, or pick up where John's left off. I don't know about the Levitz retro boot stuff because it was just okay. I don't know, but we're in one of those zones, but that's a whole nother discussion. But we're gonna cover this one. This story is called War of the Wraithmates. It was written by Cary Bates, pencils by George Tuska, and very nice inks by Vince Colletta. I like Vince Colletta and George. I think they have similar style, so Vince doesn't change it much. And again, this was reprinted in Legion Archives 10 and Showcase Presents Legion 4. Legion of Superheroes, Roll Call Monel, Karate Kid, Princess Projecta, Shadowlass. It's the year, which is the new tale of the Legion of Superheroes, is what it says. It says you're about 10 minutes to witness an ambush in outer space. The year 2972, the victim, a Legion cruiser, navigating its way back to Earth after a mission. It's another solar system. And these wraiths attack the ship, or these things, and the 4 Legionnaires who are on the mission are in their cruiser. Everybody but Monel is in a new costume. These are all costumes that I posted these. There were some in issue 403 of Adventure Comics. There was some fashions from the fans, and all of these appeared. Most of them are pretty bad. I don't mind the Saturn Girl ones. The Lightning Lad one, rough. The Ultra Boy's really painful. Saturn Girls, I think this is where we see her original one in this, but they're not. The Karate Kid's a white one with the karate hand chop and stuff, but they're attacked. The ship is hurt, damaged. The whole ship could only be short-circuited by something. They follow the signal. They get to this planet and they battle the wraiths. It's nothing crazy. It's just monsters, the veggie demon, all these things. They battle a series of monsters, and then they realize it was these gaseous creatures, these wraiths. Let us explain, though. Krugel and I are constantly fighting and squabbling in reality. We're a deeply devoted couple. One of us would never allow the other to come to any real harm. So during the time that you were possessed, my mate and I cast an invisible protective aura around each of you. Shadowlass was only momentarily dead until Marlax's powers restored them. And they talked about, because it's just 2 couples. This was not a very good comic. It is what it is. It was just do a simple 7 thing. You needed monsters. You needed a thing to explain it. It was about couples in a really bad, lazy way. This is probably one of my least favorite Legion stories in this reread. And I remember reading this. We had this comic, and I remember just kind of reading it and looking at my brother, and he went, "Yeah, whatever." Don't think he thought highly of these. So that's the last four before Dave Cockrum comes. And I can't wait to talk about those. And I haven't read them in a decade, so it's going to be fun. But I want to talk about George Tuska. I'm naming this episode in his honor. He was my first Iron Man artist. And he did a lot of fill-ins from time to time at Marvel and DC. I knew him primarily. To me, he's my Iron Man. He's my end Iron Man. And he did some Avengers. He did some other stuff. He did some Thor. He did a little bit of everything. I think he's a very underrated comic artist. I think he's good with Colette. He's good inking himself. I can't think of a time where I saw him inked by, say, someone like Anderson or somebody else, or just anybody else, maybe Joe Sinnott at Marvel. But he gets a bunch of bad rep. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think his art's got a little energy. He can play. He can do the action. He's got his own little. Everybody's moving in a C shape when they're swinging a punch, whether they're standing on their feet, or flying through the air. It's a George Tuska kind of thing. It's kind of like the Sal punch, where the person being punched is flying off panel. I really liked it. I just really enjoyed them. I thought these were better. I think I liked it. And Win Mortimer is a good artist. I just don't like his art with Jack Abel. I think it's just, I don't know if DC really, I think their house style had stagnated in the late 60s. For me, it stagnated. So, but I like George Tuska. It was good. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed the heck out of it. And for the most part, 3 of these were entertaining. The 4th one was I'm glad because I'm hoping the Cockrum ones are better. I know they just look better, so that helps. But that's in a couple weeks, or when I get a chance to do this. I'm recording several episodes today. This is the 18th of January, and this will go up in like 6 days. So you'll see it Wednesday, something or other of January. I'm not going to go look at the calendar. But I just want y'all to know, hey, keep following me. I've got a lot of. Please reach out. Send me emails to stopletsteamup at gmail.com. You can direct message me if I'm following you on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, wherever you may be following me on the socials. But reach out and let me know what you think of this era and what you think of the upcoming Cockrum stuff and the upcoming Mike Grell stuff. I'd really like to hear. But until I'm back talking Legion, I want you to be safe, be smart, be kind to one another like you're a Legionnaire, and read some comics.